انصاری ویلفیئر ٹرسٹ یو کے کے زیر اہتمام مشہور آزاد کشمیر بچوں کی مفت تعلیم و تربیت کا ادارہ کشمیر انسٹیٹیوٹ آف اسپیشل ایجوکیشن قائز آپ کے تعاون کا طلبگار انصاری ویلفیئر ٹرسٹ یو کے باقی بینک سوٹ کوڈ 201188 اکاؤنٹ نمبر 50877735 ویب سائٹ awtuk.org وسیم دتابار تازہ سموسا چاٹ فروٹ چاٹ دہی بلے گول گپے سبز چاٹ پہلی باری عالم راک روڈ تو تازہ گنیاں دا جوس جی ہاں تازہ گنیاں دا جوس وسیم دا ٹابا آؤٹ سائڈ لاہور پیسا 32 عالم راک روڈ ٹیلیفون نمبر 07846428925 وسیم دا ٹابا
RadioArchives.co.uk, bringing communities together through interfaith and social cohesion specialist shows.
کیا آپ پریشان زدہ والدین ہیں یا سمجھتے ہیں کہ کورونا جو عالمی وبا بھی ہے نے آپ کے بچے کی پڑھائی پر اثر کیا ہے تو پریشان مت ہوں، چونکہ رائزنگ سٹار اکیڈمی اپنے نام کی طرح پہچان بھی رکھتا ہے۔ وہ والدین جن کی آمدنی کم ہے کی اچھی طریقے سے مدد بھی کر سکتا ہے۔ رائزنگ سٹار اکیڈمی میں اپنے بہترین سہولتوں کے ساتھ منظم کلاسوں میں پڑھائی کی کمی پوری کرنے والے لیسنز دیے جاتے ہیں۔ صرف اسکول کے دوران ہی نہیں بلکہ چھٹیوں میں بھی مختلف ایکٹیویٹیز کی جاتی ہیں جن میں گھڑ سواری، تیر اندازی، بولنگ اور بھی بہت کچھ سکھایا جاتا ہے۔ یہ لیسنز امانہ سینٹر میں تجربہ کار اساتذہ کی نگرانی میں دیے جاتے ہیں۔ اس کے علاوہ 11+ سیٹس اور GCSE پر بھی خاص توجہ دی جاتی ہے تاکہ آپ کے بچے کا مستقبل سنور سکے۔ صرف یہی نہیں بلکہ ہفتے کے دوران پرائمری اسکول کے بچوں کو بھی بوسٹر کلاسز دی جاتی ہیں تاکہ ان کی پڑھائی میں بھی کوئی فرق نہ آئے۔ اس سہولت سے فائدہ اٹھانے کے لیے ہماری ویب سائٹ risingstaracademy.org.uk پر جائیں یا فون نمبر 0121227195 پر ہم سے رابطہ کریں۔ شکریہ۔
گھریلو ناچاکی اولاد کا نہ ہونا اولاد نافرمان ہے، محبت میں ناکامی اولاد کے رشتوں کی پریشانی، کاروبار میں بندش، کالے جادو کا اثر، تو آپ پریشان نہ ہوں، آج ہی استخارے کے لیے رابطہ کریں حافظ مبارک شاہ صاحب سے۔ واٹس اپ نمبر ہے 07424605048 that's 07424605048۔ اپنی ذمہ داری سے رابطہ کریں، ریڈیو آپ کی آواز پر کوئی ذمہ داری نہیں ہے۔
Adderley Nursery School, close to the city centre, Saviours Road, Birmingham, B81HA. A place to create and learn, connect and belong. We are a local authority maintained nursery school led by a head teacher and a team of experienced specialist early years teachers and practitioners. We offer free 15 hours for all 3 and 4-year-olds and some 2-year-olds. We also offer free 30 hours childcare for working parents, support for children with special educational needs and disabilities, and we are open from 8 a.m. till 5 p.m, term time only, and we offer breakfast and tea. We are based on St Saviour's Road. Please call and register your child on 0121 464 4183. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
برمنگھم سینٹرل ماسک ہائی گیٹ برمنگھم کی سب سے پہلی مسجد اور یوکے کی دوسری مسجد کی بنیاد 1960 اور 1970 میں رکھی گئی تھی۔ برمنگھم سینٹرل ماسک کو مزید امپرومنٹ کے لیے آپ کی مدد کی ضرورت ہے۔ آئیے دل کھول کر مدد کریں اور ساتھ الرائن بینک برمنگھم ماسک ٹرسٹ لمیٹڈ سورٹ کوڈ 300083 اکاؤنٹ نمبر 01264201 ٹیلیفون نمبر 0121440535 سماعت فرما رہے ہیں آپ کی آواز ریڈیو یوکے کی نشریات کو۔ اسٹوڈیو سے رابطے کے لیے نمبر نوٹ کیجیے 0121682975۔ ایڈورٹائز اسپانسر کے لیے 07944808141۔
Assalamualaikum, good evening. Welcome to another edition of the Community Talk Show. I'm your host, Mohammed Amin. Inshallah, Between now and 9 o'clock, I've got a distinguished guest in the studio here, in the studio of Radio Aapke Awaaz, and we will be discussing another project that's been offered by Birmingham City Council to the residents of Birmingham. Radio Aapke Awaaz, as you know, is your community radio station on www.aapkeawaaz.co.uk. You can contact us on a number of ways. You can put a message in our Facebook live page, and I will do my best to cover your comments during the discussion this evening. You can contact us on 07944 808 141. Anything you'd like to discuss with regards to a sponsor of any program or any advertisements, as most of my viewers and listeners are from the Muslim community. Ramadan starts in the beginning of April, so if you like to advertise to make sure your business flourishes during this special holy month, obviously contact us on 07944 808 141, and Ikram Mirza Saab will certainly discuss very competitive rates with you. This evening we've got our distinguished guest here in the studio of Radio Aapke Awaaz, and we've also got our live feed on Facebook Live, so you can put your comments and messages in there. And without further ado, I'll get my guest to explain to you what it's all about. Assalamu alaikum, Tabriz. Welcome to the Community Talk Show program. Please introduce yourself and tell me who you work for.
Thank you. Thank you, Mim. So, welcome, salam. My name is Tabriz, or you can call me Tabs for short. I work for Birmingham City Council, and I'm the pure project manager based, like I say, at Birmingham City Council within the Adult Social Care Directorate.
So it's a pure project from Birmingham City Council. So pure sounds very an interesting, thought-provoking name. So tell me, what is it all about, please?
Sure. So the Pure project is I guess best way to describe it is a pathway program to support people, most vulnerable people in our society who are furthest away from the labour market, and support them into employment, education or training. So those are the three main areas of focus for our project. And when I say vulnerable people from Birmingham, that could be a number of things. So we're talking people who may have a learning disability, a physical disability, women fleeing domestic abuse, ex-offenders, people who may be homeless, or people that may have a visual or hearing impairment. So it's a very wide group, but a group that's marginalised in our community, and a group that really needs support in these difficult times.
So why a specific program for these marginalised people in our community? What was the rationale behind it?
So the program is European funded, so it came through the European Social Fund. So a few years ago, the council decided to bid for this money. So this money we have to spend on the program was never given to us as such. It was a competitive process that we had to go through. So a bid was made through Department of Work and Pensions, who is the managing authority for European funds. And thankfully we were successful in securing these funds to spend in the Birmingham area to support these groups for various reasons, because like I said, these groups tend to be people that don't really tend to have the support available, the wraparound intensive support they need, and what we are able to offer is a real intensive wraparound personalised support for those individuals to, like I say, help them into employment, educational training.
So let's go back a little bit and say, okay, I'm one of those individuals who was a NEET, and NEET is not in education, employment and training. Unfortunately, I fell into that vulnerable category. So what are you going to do to help and support me?
So, good question. So because we're European funded, there is a quite strict eligibility criteria. So we will support people that are 25 and over. So we have an age restriction. Again, okay. This is associated with the funding that we have.
Okay.
We can support younger people, and we have done so in the past, but generally speaking, it's 25 plus. If you're unemployed and i.e. or inactive, which basically means you're looking for work, or someone who hasn't worked for many years, we will support you. If you're a Birmingham resident, you need to living in the Birmingham area, or you have a Birmingham postcode, You can't be funded by another European funded program, and as long as you have the legal right to live and work in the UK for the duration of the program, we will potentially support you. So if you, like you were saying, describe as yourself as a neat person and I catch and tick those boxes for us, we will potentially support you. And there's a very simple referral process that we in the council do. And then what happens is we've commissioned 9 providers. So those vulnerabilities that I mentioned earlier, we've got specialist providers who specialize in those areas, and they will support you, like I say, on that journey into whether you want to go down the employment route. Or for some people, there's a real realization that not everyone we support will go into employment for various reasons. And therefore, the education and training aspect is really important as well. So that's what we will do through, like I say, through those commission providers, the likes of Birmingham Mind, the likes of Trident Reach, the likes of Birmingham Solihull Women's Aid, Middle and Mencap, and Cranston, and so on, and those other organisations that got, like I said, we have 9 providers in total that will support those people into those areas.
So you've highlighted myself as a need. There's a need for me to reach out to those services. How will you follow me along that journey?
Okay, so firstly, you could self-refer. So let's say you came across...
But the fact I'm in that need category, I'm not going to be aware of these additional 9 services available. So how you're going to, how does your project keep putting me in touch with them, and how you follow my journey? Do you follow my journey, or do you just put me in touch with them and then away I go?
No, we absolutely follow that journey, and we will ensure that journey is the right journey for you. So the process from the beginning is a simple referral.
Okay.
So through either through the council itself or through our providers, you will be referred to the program through a simple referral form. You will complete that like either by yourself, or we have someone else may have referred to you. So it could be Job Centre Plus, could be a social worker, could be a local GP, a number of places where we get our referrals coming in from. That referral comes into the team that I manage, so one of our business support officers will review and assess that for you, and then they will determine which provider is best suited to support you on their journey. And what we get from the referral form is your aspirations, what your barriers are, and how we can support you. So sometimes we'll have a conversation with you, speak to you over the phone, find out, like I say, what do you want to do, what's stopping you from getting into employment. And then a decision is made by our team of support officers to which provider you go on to. So once that referral is made, usually within 3 days or so, the provider in question will then contact you directly, introduce you to what is on offer, and really that's where the journey begins. So you'll get the personalised support. And I can't really emphasize the point around personalised support. It's around your needs and what your needs are. And then, like I say, whatever it is, could be confidence building, you may need some money management skill, CV building, whatever it is, we will work around you to support you in those areas.
This is why I'm deliberately not picking at any individual. I want our viewers and our listeners to understand what the service is, what's available out there, and how can they benefit from this. And that's why I've said, I've deliberately used that phrase that I've got a mental health issue. Obviously, everybody who has this issue and concern doesn't say I've got this issue. And NEET, we obviously know there's a very high level of NEET in Birmingham within the younger 18 to 25 population, and we've talked about the age restrictions. So let's say I've got a mental health issue, and how will I be referred to the Pure Project?
So again, Birmingham. So you mentioned mental health. So our specialist provider is Birmingham Mind.
Okay.
So they would have outreach officers.
Yeah.
They would have a number of places where they would work closely with. For example, it could be the NHS. Again, could be a GP, could be social prescribers that we tend to get a lot of, and even social services. So depending on the mental health and the severity of that condition, you could already be known to the council, and therefore as long as you've made some sort of aspiration to go down this route, then Pure would be something that you would consider and look to maybe, like you say, go down that particular journey. Once you're on that journey, like I said, we're going to talk about the wraparound support. What we offer are things like, for example, we have participant costs. Okay. So this is a budget that is allocated to you up to £1,000, and that could fund things like travel, that could fund things like clothing. You may need some sort of ID requirements that you haven't had. So we will support you again with that through a allocated worker through, let's say, Birmingham Mind. They know of that. And then also things like digital exclusion. So since COVID, we've noticed a lot of people have been excluded with things like laptops. So we're just about to launch a lending library. So you have the ability to loan a laptop, loan a tablet, and as well as the physical equipment, you'll also get the training as well to help you and support you using that equipment. And these are the types of things that we offer to those participants. And the companies, the providers we have, those specialist providers, are the experts in that field. So I'm not expert in mental health, I'm not expert in physical disability, hence why we've commissioned those specialist providers who know that industry inside out and will give you that relevant support.
Oh, it's lovely to hear that there's initiatives are happening in the background, and it's lovely to hear about your Pure project, and it inspires me to think, right, okay, it's a fantastic facility, fantastic service, but why do you find that there's not much promotion about it in the generally, whether you walk up and down the high street, the Alumrock Road High Street, or whether you look at social media? Why has there's been a lack? Obviously, I know the organisations that you mentioned, those names. Yeah, I know them. But you see, I've got to make an approach to those organisations, and then if I've got a mental health illness, or I've got to say I've got that illness, and somebody has to diagnose me to have that illness, and it's not easy. And this is why, I'm trying to be the devil's advocate and say I've got a financial experience background. Okay, so if I've got, say, money issues, what have you, nobody sits down with me and says, right, let's have a look at your cash forecasting, let's look at your budget, hang on a minute, you've been on benefits for these years and what have you, but do you know, if you can get a job, this could do this to you, and it's an open minefield for people who have been there. So something like that, if somebody's referred to you, and they've been referred, say, from one of the projects managed under DWP and the Job Centre, what would you do to somebody like that?
So just to touch on your point about marketing, and you're absolutely right. We the project itself could do a lot more, and we are doing a lot more. One of the reasons why we're here really is to raise awareness of the Pure project. So we commissioned a company. The company has been amazing for us for the short period I've been working with them, and their role really, Hawkmoth Consultant, is to raise awareness of the project. And that's something which we're working on. And I have to hold the hands up. The council sometimes isn't that great talking about the services that we have on offer. And I think the lockdown situation and working from home situation has really compounded that issue. So for us, I think we need to get out there, get that messaging out there. I think that's what we're starting to do. Talking about, like you said, so what happens if, for example...
Sorry, just on the point that you've raised there. In our Punjabi language, Midpuri language, what Aapke Awaaz means.
Yes.
Okay? So this is why the purpose of this radio station is, it's your voice, it's your community radio station, your voice, and it goes out globally from the heart of Birmingham. But predominantly, obviously, we talk about Birmingham projects, Birmingham issues and concerns. But any issues and concerns we have in the great city of Birmingham, more than likely our colleagues up and down the country will have these and what have you. So for me to host a program like this gives me a bit of pleasure and enjoyment to say, well, these are the concerns, these are the issues that we hear about and read about and what have you. Hang on a minute, I'm actually reaching out to the world and saying, guys, these are the issues. Come on, let's get down and let's sort them out. And for something like our Birmingham City Council, which is the largest metropolitan borough local authority in Europe, we've got massive amount of projects going on in the city, and it's all for the betterment of the city. We've got the Commonwealth 2022 just around the corner. Look at the infrastructure that's happening around Perry Bar. You look at HS2, Curzon Street, all that massive infrastructure happening. And, you know, we still feel that, admittedly, COVID-19 has made a knock-on effect in the last 23, 24 months. But again, we reached out to people to say, look, this is a facility in the community, for the community. And I'm pleased that, you know, you've taken the offer to come on board and project your project. And that's it. We have this 1 hour slot on a Thursday evening. And that's what we want to do, promote community projects. Sorry, what you were saying about the authority reaching out.
Yes, so no, totally agree with what you've just said as well. So for example, Job Centre Plus, key stakeholder for the Pure project. So they have clearly a targeted audience that they work with, and referrals will come from them. And then when we are assigned, or when a participant or a citizen gets to one of our providers, that's when the support begins.
Okay.
So that's when the intensive support, the personalised support really begins at that stage. And then what we do is we don't just leave them there. We have to obviously maintain them throughout that journey, see where they are, and most importantly, then obviously these figures that we get have to get reported back to DWP as well, and to obviously the various governance structures that we have within the council. And ultimately, we're accountable for this to the citizens of Birmingham.
Yeah, that's right. And obviously, where you got European funding, you know, you're accountable through Citizens of Birmingham. Then it's got to go back through, as you said, DWP, and back to some final report to Europe about, you know, whatever the funding key KPIs and key delivery points were. You know, have you achieved them or have you delivered them? I totally understand that. But you see where I'm coming from the communities. Like, yes, the communities crying out for these type of services, and it's lovely to see that, you know, you are out and about, and you know, especially, you know, you're promoting it on our program. So, you know, if I was an individual who for some reason dropped out of education, so again, I'm in one of that NEET category, over the years I've just got used to being on the benefit structure, benefit system, and what have you. I may have a general weakness in putting a letter together, putting a CV together. What support can you give me? Because as you know, 90-95% of the jobs now, they're all online. So, you know, if I can't use the new IT structure, you kindly said that there's a service which is going to loan me a tablet or a laptop. But how quickly can I get up and running? How does the scheme work?
Yeah, so we could turn around, like I say, within literally a week. You could be receiving support from one of our providers from the point of referral within a week, and getting that support you need. You mentioned a very good point around the issue around, I guess, what we want to do when it comes to benefits is not pressurize anyone, or pigeonhole them. We see thousands of people, and we literally have thousands of people that we've supported on our scheme, and one of the biggest barriers is not sometimes themselves, but it's the benefit trap. Yeah. So they have to weigh up, and we be total and honest with them that you have to weigh up the pros and cons of you coming off this benefit. May mean a slight financial reduction. However, on the other hand, what you have is an improvement of quality of life. And the participant, only the citizen themselves can make that judgment call. So what we won't do is push them down a particular route just for the sake of getting an outcome or something. So that idea about benefits is a big issue, and something we face on a daily occurrence. But what we show through Pure is the improvement in someone's life. And like I say, we have the education and training aspect, and that's a really key stepping stone for people to have a taste of employment, to see what is it like. Is this the right one for me? Is this something that I want to go down? And sometimes you get people who want to change career. So we've had many people come to us who had a job pre-COVID. COVID came, turned the world upside down, and now have to look down a particular new avenue for employment, and therefore going on a course, going on some sort of training is the right thing for them at that moment in time. And we will monitor them on that journey also. And then, like I say, what we also provide is feedback to the person who may have referred them to the program, so that they also get some advice and updates on where that person is on that journey. Viewers and listeners,
you're listening to a discussion on the Community Talk Show. I'm your host, Mohammed Amin. As you know, Thursday evenings between 8 and 9 is my usual slot. We try and bring you information, projects, local projects. But this evening, we've got the project lead on a project called Pure. And this is run by Birmingham City Council, and the project lead here is Tabriz, and known as Tap to his friends. And basically, we're having a conversation, and I'm giving the various scenarios to Tabriz just to give me and you an insight of what this program can do. And going back to our discussion, it's very, very easy for me to sit here and talk about being on the benefits trap. People who are on the benefits trap, it's part of their life. So have you got any case studies you can run by of somebody who was on the benefit trap and has gone through the system and come out the other end? Can you give me an example?
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, we can't use any names, but
there's been numerous cases. I mean, where we've supported someone who, like you say, was on a benefit for many years. For things that pop into my mind, there was a story. We had a chap who not necessarily was on a benefit. I'll come on to the benefit situation. The one that always sticks in my mind is a young chap who had a successful job as a solicitor. Was a high fly, if you like. Was very successful. Was earning good money, and was at the beginning of his career. Unfortunately, an illness. He went through an illness where he eventually lost his eyesight. So you can imagine the impact this had on that individual. Something we take for granted, something we take every day, and to lose that sense is, we couldn't really fathom it. So thankfully he got the support from one of our providers, Bid Services, who specialise in visual and hearing impairments, and supported him, gave him back the confidence he once had, and then thankfully managed to get him another job in the insurance company. Now, just getting a job is one part of the kind of the journey. You then have to find employers that are willing to take someone on, make those reasonable adjustments, and that also can be a challenge. But with the Pure program, we work very closely with employers as well, and I think the employers is sometimes that missing piece in the jigsaw, because without those employers, we can't get those people into employment. So I think half this journey and half this battle is about getting key local employers to take on these people, to give them a chance, and I think once you get those type of employers on board, that makes a huge difference. So that's just one example. The benefit ones, like I said, there's been many where we've supported them, and something that we will be doing soon with the company in question will be supporting is putting these case studies out there. I think the more people they hear about these case studies, it will resonate with them, and then they will see, actually, that could have been me, so why can't I go through this journey? So,
and also, you see, the other thing is the thought coming to my mind is that the fact that if I'm on benefits, I'm on just universal credit. I've been on universal credit, and if I chose to change my direction of my career, I can go on to this type of training scheme. There is an element of that universal credit will still be paid for a certain amount of weeks as well. It doesn't physically stop. So it's like an overlap. And then even though I'm working, obviously I've got to pay utility bills and council tax, and we all know that never goes down. Those figures always go up. But there is a transitional period, and a lot of people just think that literally if I come off my benefits, it stops at the moment, and it doesn't. There is a transitional period.
Absolutely. So there's permitted hours, for example, under certain benefits. I'm no benefit expert. But they are.
I've had benefit experts in before, and we've discussed this, and we've discussed about universal credit, and we've discussed about doing certain permitted hours, and then if people get what it's like is if I've not done any particular work or whatever, I want to try something. Oh, wait a minute, it's not a bad idea. I quite like this, and then you gradually do it, and then you can effectively come off the benefit system, and then suddenly when you enjoy the work the employment world, you think, well, why didn't I do this before? And that sometimes you just need that little support just to get you over the line.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly what we offer. So, and then there's also in-work support that we do. So, for example, we've managed to successfully get someone into work. Fantastic.
Oh, good.
It doesn't stop there, because it's quite easy for someone to fall off.
Yeah.
So it could be someone who may have had an alcohol substance problem, quite easy could go back into that, or various other reasons. So what we do is, once they're in employment, we will then continue some level of support, light touch, see how they get on.
That's good. It's a very good approach.
But still insist, because what we want to see is some sustainability. The last thing we want to do is put a person into a job, leave them to it, and they come back off. It happens.
Yeah,
but ideally, what we want to do is keep that sustainability.
But again, without mentioning any names, I've come across a lot of people throughout my life, especially in community programs and community projects in Birmingham. Some of these people are very clever people. You ask them to strip something, like, I don't know, change a door lock, and they'll change it, right? So the analytical ability to take some door handle off and put a lock on or whatever, they can do that. But if you ask them to sit down and read something academically, they're not very strong. But if they explain visually how to do, like change locks or something or whatever, they're very, very clever people. They'll do it. But everybody doesn't have to be an academic to get a job. But this is the message I'm putting out to the viewers and listeners. They are people who I've known in all forms of life. Quite a few people who I know are in engineering, work in industrial areas in Birmingham, work for a large car assembly manufacturer not far from our great city of Birmingham, right? But when you ask them, did you have your academic qualifications, or did you have an engineering degree, or did you have an engineering? They didn't. It's just they learned a lot of that because companies supported them many, many years ago with training and transferable skills, and they when you for example, I don't know, you're on a production line and you're putting on windscreen wipers on a car. There's only one process to put a windscreen wiper on a car, and if you learn that process, and then they move you on, and gradually they start building that car up. And these are the type of skills that people need. So give me some examples of somebody you've placed who had a multiple of issues. Have you come across those? It's not just the one issue.
And to be fair to him, it generally tends to be complex and multiple issues.
Yeah.
It's very rare you'll find someone who's either homeless and doesn't have either a mental health illness.
Unfortunately, a lot of these issues that I've just talked about, when you look at it, there may be the underlying factor of deprivation and poverty, but the 6 or 7 of the other, they're all intertwined.
Absolutely, yeah. There's certainly that overlap. So examples of where we've supported people into that level. So there was a chap that recently we supported, had a learning disability, a mild learning disability. But all he really needed, like he said, was that support.
Yeah.
So the provider was able to give him that support, and firstly gave him a work experience placement. So we had an employer on board who was able to say, yeah, we'll take this chap on. We'll give him, I think they gave him, maybe 6 months work experience placement. And what the provider was able to do was go with him every morning. They assigned a worker with him. So he would go with him, get him on the bus, take him to work. And literally that's all he needed. Over that 6 months period, he built up his confidence. And the amazing thing at the end of that 6 months period was the company offered him a full-time paid employment. Now that's just one example.
That's a massive, massive achievement for that individual. Firstly, I know this sounds silly, but you've got to get out of bed.
Yeah.
You got to get ready. You got to prepare yourself to leave the house on time. Somebody's escorting you to work. Adapt that way of life doesn't come naturally,
Of course.
And it's like many years ago when we were growing up in our great city of Birmingham, your parents will say, right, get up, get ready, have your breakfast, get ready, go to school. They never walked us to school and whatever. They showed us that way and we just got on with it. and the onus was upon yourself. And a lot of these is you just need somebody to show you the path, and then the world's your oyster, as I always say, and the opportunities are there. You just need somebody just to lead you in the right direction.
Yeah, totally agree. And that's what Pure offers, is that it's a little helping hand to support them. And sometimes it's a bit more than that. It could be someone that needs real intensive support. Sometimes it's a more light touch. The uniqueness about what we offer on Pure, it's molded around to that person's needs.
Right.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. It's dependent on their individual's needs, and that's what we do. And coming back to this referral point, what I haven't mentioned is how some of the viewers may want to either speak to myself or the team. We do, even though we're still working from home, the council, the vast majority of them, we're making a slow transition back into offices, but we do have a landline number that people can ring us on, which is 0121 675 2609. So you could still ring that number, and we will obviously speak to anyone that wants to speak to us about what we can offer, and more importantly, we get them a referral form. And we clearly also have an email address, and this email address is a general email address but is manned by the team, and that's Birmingham Pure, all one word, Birmingham Pure @birmingham.gov.uk. So we could get that out as well.
Viewers and listeners, you're listening on another conversation here on the Community Talk Show on Radio Aapke Awaaz, www.aapkeawaaz.co.uk. To advertise and sponsor a program, as always, our number is 07944 808 141. Just to remind everybody who's joining into the program, firstly, thank you very much for joining into the program. Today's discussion is with Brother Tab from Birmingham City Council, and it's a part of a project that Birmingham City Council are running and supporting certain individuals who are in certain vulnerable categories under the age of 25.
Over the age of
over the age of 25. And the whole idea of this is try to help and support them, try to alleviate some of their poverty, deprivation, and what have you. So basically, we've discussed about the personalised support. We've discussed about an example where you've taken one of the support workers has taken an individual to work and what have you. What happens when they get to work? And obviously, if it's a 6 months placement or what have you, do you set up is there a program that gives those individuals some certain key skills while they're working there on a temporary basis?
So it's again a flexible approach dependent on the individual's needs and also dependent on the employer. So what we like to do is empower the employer.
Okay.
What we've done in the past is given employers a toolkit. So we have a toolkit that was given to them, and within that toolkit it talks about certain conditions, what reasonable adjustments may need to be made for that person. For example, someone who may again have a learning disability, may be autistic or have ADHD, they may need a bit more time in the morning to get in, like for the reason we mentioned about getting ready, getting on the bus. So therefore, some sort of, I guess we're looking at is some sort of support for them, or just having the ability and the understanding that person may come in, let's say 10 o'clock as opposed to 9 o'clock on the dot. So when we work with an employer, they make those adjustments for us, for that individual. And then working closely with Job Centre Plus as well, what we can offer are things like support for the employer. So there's a fund that they could tap into as well. And again, if they need to make any reasonable adjustments.
And I think the Job Centre Plus, there is a DWP scheme where if they take on somebody, they don't have to pay employer national insurance for about.
Yes, there's
various schemes like that on there. Yeah.
Yes, there are a number of wage subsidy type programs.
Subsidy, yeah.
But there's a fund as well. Like I said, it's not coming to my mind right now. But that's geared up for people who may have a learning disability, and they could tap into that fund to support them with those reasonable.
But you know, some of the basic. Keyboard entry, data entry jobs, they are very specialized jobs because you have to be able to look at something and key that information in on a database and what have you. But if somebody can grasp that skill over a 3, 6, 9 month period, that could be a massive achievement for that man, because that individual can say that they've got data entry skills, and not everybody can have those data entry skills.
Absolutely. So what we offer through one of our partners is Faircroft College.
Right,
So they're a specialist college for us, We're just about to be launching a specialist course that we've designed through the three of our providers. We've got Rathbone, Cranston and Birmingham, I think Mind it was, where we've developed a course for people again with learning disabilities and difficulties, geared up around the employer market. So things like data entry, things like could be keyboard skills, could be things like this, things that the normal mainstream education won't do. We're able to do that through further.
Yeah, but what you got to remember is, I went through mainstream education system, and the mainstream education system didn't give us any skills of how to talk in a group. They didn't give us any specific how to do any presentations. They didn't give. There's a lot of skills that people have learnt throughout their career, and if we got to remember that some of these people that we're talking about who are 25 plus may have gone through education, but for one reason or another they had these social issues. They didn't go through the proper route, and in speech marks they call them dropouts or whatever you call them, or NEETs at that time. But the fact that you want to bring that culture of being like bringing self-esteem back into that individual, that's where effectively the example that you've given about Faircroft, that's what Faircroft does. They have evening weekend courses. Absolutely. And these are the people who never even been to like a college or an education. Suddenly it's a massive esteem to them to say they are going to an establishment where they'll have 2 or 3 days boarding, I think it is, and they come out of it, and it's an achievement.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's life changing for a lot of these people. Like you say, people, I guess, sometimes take confidence and self esteem for granted. But like you say, if you've gone through a school system where you've had a disability or something that's always held you back, these things are taken for granted. So what we can offer through, like you said, the colleges and even through our providers are those softer skills that we are so crucial for someone getting into the employment market. The other partner we have is FairShare. So they're a food poverty charity, but what we've partnered up with them is that they offer us real work experience.
Fantastic! Yeah.
So even though we work with people who are furthest away from the labour market, what COVID showed us was there were people who were struggling with mental health, who had lost their jobs, but had recently worked.
Yeah, but you don't realise though, somebody like myself, if I did 6 months training at FairShare, right, and you are say the coordinator at FairShare, you'll give me a printout of a list of items. I need to go around to the warehouse and pick those items, right, and suddenly I've got a skill where I'm acting on instructions, picking up these orders and putting them for collection later on, tomorrow, the day after, whatever you. And I've got a skill that I didn't have beforehand.
Yeah, and that skill now can be transferred to a supermarket.
Then yeah, you're right. Yeah, I can work in supermarkets, work for one of the online, a couple of the online outlets. I don't want to use the names, but you know what I'm on about.
Yeah, of course.
Right? And suddenly you see the quality of my life from the benefit systems, suddenly I'm talking about £10-12 an hour. So, the quality of my life suddenly, like, from just worried about covering my bills, will definitely improve.
Absolutely, and like I said before, it's real life-changing experiences for these people, and the likes of FairShare, Faircroft, and all the other providers. It's a real partnership approach we have on Pure. So without our commission providers, without FairShare and Faircroft and Middlemans and all the others, there is no Pure project. The council is only able to deliver this because of the partnerships that we have with these providers and the specialisms that they hold.
How long is this project do you reckon going to last for?
So, again, interesting question is that at the moment the end date for Pure is December 2023, so another basically a year, and that's only because of the European
funding.
Yes, but we are looking at some sort of legacy to the program. We're looking at some work internally in the council where the agenda is about trying to do some preventative work, early intervention and preventative work. So we can get people before they become long-term unemployed, and that is likely to be funded either through mainstream funding through the council that we get through main government, or other shared prosperity funds which would hopefully replace a lot of the European funding. So even though we're a year or two away from that end date, my job now really is to start look at that legacy, what has Pure done, what impact it's had undone, and what can we do for the future.
I mean, I'm being a devil's advocate here. I could say, okay, Birmingham City Council, largest local authority in Europe. Is it too little, too late with this type of project? Or is it better late than never?
It's probably better late than never, I'd say. The thing is, you could have that attitude where it's, we've got a massive problem in our city. Unemployment is an issue. People who we support are marginalised, are probably the most disadvantaged in our communities as well. We talk about race, we talk about ethnicity, but disability is probably up there as well. So what we're trying to do is support those individuals, but I'd rather do it now than not do it at all.
And then, obviously, one of the key issues is that there are limited funded projects to have a long-term impact on something like this. You can't just run it for 2 years. And like you said, if the local authority is looking at sustainability of running the project after 2023. Another thing that springs to mind is that within the local authority structure, the local authority always has, with cutbacks, leisure services have been cut back, youth services have been cut back, and then when you look at, like, somebody leaves school between 18 and comes up to 25 or whatever those 5-7 years is a massive loss in somebody's life. So if somebody's been used to be on the benefit system for some 7 years, it's a massive culture shock to even contemplate them going back into the real world of work.
It's a major issue. I mean, we've noticed, and I've noticed, that those individuals don't have a safety net, so they really do struggle with that. And I hope the council will do other initiatives to support them into those areas of support. So it's a big challenge that we face as a city and as a local authority.
So we've had our discussion for the last half hour. What we'd like to do now is just go back into some of the points we've already discovered, and we want to ask the community to get the message out to say services are available. Let's recap. How can Pure help? Going back to me out in the community with my mental health issue, or me being a NEET, or me being on the benefit system for 7 years, how can Pure help again?
So really simple. So reach out to us in the council. The number I early gave on the email address.
Just repeat that number again.
Sure,
please,
it's
brother.
0121 675 2609, or you can alternatively email us on Birmingham Pure, one word, at birmingham.gov.uk. So there will be the first port of call. We'll get, like I say, a simple referral form. You can self-refer into the program. Again, we will then work with you. The team will assess that referral form, check where you are on your journey, speak to you, get some better understanding of what your aspiration and what your barriers
So
are.
I don't need any particular specific authority, GP, job centre, anybody. I can self-refer as well.
Absolutely, you can self-refer, and your condition doesn't even have to be a formally diagnosed condition. So you could just be literally feeling particularly low, been out of work for a number of years. We will support you. We'll come into the team. We'll then assess it and signpost you to the appropriate provider. And like I say, within usually 3 days, the provider will get in contact with you, and then that's like when the real work begins with you, supporting you around on your journey of what you want to do, whether it's education, whether it's employment or training, and that real wraparound, that personalised support through whether it's participant costs, whether you need some physical things, whether it's access to equipment, devices, training, and even if you were to get into work, it's that in-work support that we offer as well.
So basically, I'm not being forced into that route. I will have those aspirations or whatever. It's just I don't know who to turn to, and that's who I turn to. I turn to Pure, and you would like effectively open the doors for me and make my life easy.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't have said it better.
Okay. So the other thing is that a lot of these are people in the community where we get the messages out in the community. How much emphasis will you be taken into getting this information out? Obviously, there's only so much we can do at Radio Opgivers and get the message out, and we hope the viewers and listeners are listening to our program today and get the message across. But what other initiatives are you planned with regards to this Pure project?
So there's been a real concerted effort in the last few months. So what we're doing is revisiting all social media presences, so Facebook, the Twitter, the likes of other areas where we're looking to get our messages out.
So something like Facebook, do you have like a Birmingham Pure?
We will be.
Oh, okay.
So this is what our company we've brought on board will be doing in the next few months or so, if not sooner. So social media is just one of them. Further radio station where we could get messages out there. Even things like simple leaflets, newsletters we're starting to do as well, just to raise awareness of the program. And the ability to really do it at the grassroots level, I think, is crucial for us, because like you say, we could do the mass production, the mass campaigns, but we want to be supporting the people on the streets, the people who live and breathe Birmingham is who we want to be targeting.
Well, you see, with Commonwealth Birmingham 2022, there'll be a big emphasis from next onwards, really, up until July and at the end of the games, and then there'll be a big focus on community engagement, what's happening in the community, and this is where the Pure presence will definitely make a big difference. So I applaud. I'm always making comments about our beloved local authority, and I know it's a massive institution, but I think better late than never. Let's see what improvement it makes. And how many people have you got on this project at the moment?
In terms of
participants who have signed up?
We've signed up over 2,500 people.
Okay.
Over 400 people we've got into education and training.
Fantastic.
Over 100 people into employment, and you'll start seeing those case studies coming out as well.
That's an achievement. So that is an achievement, because those 2,500 people have come off the bottom line, and suddenly, whilst it's a drop in the ocean, what you have done is that is a start, isn't it? So those 2,500 people have had their lives turned around for the better, inshallah. And hopefully they will start to prosper, and they will start to develop the social skills, the business skills, the interactive communication skills, which a lot of people, like you said, you don't leave college, and you don't leave education and have all these things are something that you develop over time and what have you. So as we are coming up almost to the hour, in addition to what we've discussed, are there any other particular areas you would like to focus on? Any of those organisations that you mentioned, for the argument's sake, you mentioned Rathbones. Why would you refer to somebody to Rathbones? Is there any specific that they offer?
So learning disability. So we've got 3 providers that specialise in the learning disability sphere. So we have Rathbone, Cranston, Middle and Cap. When it comes to mental health, we've got Birmingham Mind. When it comes to homelessness, it's Trident Reach. When it comes to our ex-offenders, it's Green Square Court. When it comes to women fleeing domestic abuse, it's Beast Wade. I hope I haven't missed anyone else. We've got Fair Share Mention for those who are a bit job ready, and obviously Faircroft College for that further education and training. And these organisations are well-established organisations that have delivered these services for many, many years, and are the specialist go-to providers. So this, even though it's a Birmingham City Council run project, without those providers, without that partnership work.
Yeah, but you see, what you're going to understand is there's only so much the local authority can do.
Exactly.
Because we're all constantly reminded about the funding constraints. We're all reminded about the local authority getting rid of their public buildings and what have you. So I appreciate that. But the fact is, they are at last coming out with a initiative. My only message to your team, if you relay them back, is from grassroots level, is that the fact that I appreciate the funding will come to to an end in 2023, but more important in December 2023. But more importantly, is if a legacy could be planned now, so there is some continuation in there, because we know through our contacts out in the community, these type of social deprivation issues haven't just come up overnight. They come over through the last 3 decades, and to turn that around takes time.
Absolutely, and that's where I hope that the council and certainly my director of the adult social care is looking to commit to that early intervention and that prevention work that is needed. And like you say, it's not something that can happen overnight.
No, it won't.
Yeah.
And we mentioned one of the organisations, Trident Housing. How can they help
So
somebody?
they specialise with homelessness. So anyone that may be at the risk of being homeless or is already homeless and living on the streets or sofa surfing, whatever it may well be, they are the go-to provider for us when it comes to that specific group. I think I failed to mention bid services earlier on, but those for people with a visual and hearing impairment, it's those providers. That
Have you got a sample of a case study whereby you had somebody who was a homeless individual, possibly would have had some drug abuse? How have you picked somebody up that through your project, and now how have they come out at the other end? I'd be really interested to know about the success story.
So we've got countless of those journeys. Because Trident Reach is on the Pure project one of our biggest providers. So they've got the biggest workforce resource. So they tend to work out in the outreach. They've got their own hubs where they work from as well. So an example of a chap that comes to mind out on the streets recently, who was made homeless for the simple reason of not being able to pay rent. And then what Trident Reach were able to offer him, firstly, was getting a roof over his head. So what we work on are the primary reasons, issues that they may face when it comes to homelessness. And that usually is get a roof over their head, get them a bed to sleep in, get them off the streets, look at what other issues may be taking place, whether it's drugs or alcohol.
So you basically you don't just look at the immediate issue, you look at the root cause of and that is a massive, because to make change in somebody's life, you give them a roof over their head and that's it, you walk away, but you are actually looking at the root cause and you're following the whole path through as well.
Absolutely, because these are complex individuals, complex needs. It's never one silver bullet, so to speak, that will help them. It's a number of interventions, and what we also encourage on Pure is cross referrals. So they may start with Trident Reach, for example, get their homelessness issue addressed, but there may be a learning disability that needs addressing, and then what we'll do is an internal referral to the likes of let's say Rathbone or Cranston, who will then help them with that, and then like I said, address that need for them and get them onto that journey. So like I said, hopefully we'll start getting those case studies out there, and ideally if we could even maybe next time bring a provider here.
Gladly, more than welcome to talk to one of your providers, and more than welcome to talk to any individual who likes to come and their life has been changed, because that's the beauty of Radio Apgivas. We talk about community projects, we talk about what's happening in the community, we talk about individuals, and what I like to do is try to explain to people, to say this is the purpose of the project, because this is what this individual did and this is what Pure did to turn this individual's life around.
And it's much more powerful hearing it from someone who's gone through that journey, lived that journey, than hearing it from myself. So we'll certainly look to do something similar in the near future, where bring someone on who's had that journey, who's been on that journey, and also maybe from a provider's perspective as well.
One final point from you, please. If you just give me your, obviously I've got it down, if you just give me your details, your contact number and email address again. So viewers and listeners, if there's a web address, then the viewers and listeners can pass these details on to their friends and family. And obviously our recordings go live this evening, but recordings are available, so I want to make sure that this message goes out to as many people as possible in Birmingham.
So thank you. So please ring us on 0121 675 2609. So that's open during work hours, usually 9 to 5. But then if you want to email us, it's Birmingham Pure. That's Birmingham Pure, one whole word, and then at birmingham.gov.uk. And any queries, questions you may have, please pop them over to us. And we will contact you and resolve that and hopefully support you on that journey.
Well, I wish you all the very best of this fantastic project in the community, And if you keep in touch with us, and we welcome, as I said, yourself, any one of your support partners, and an individual who's gone through the journey, gladly bring that, because that's another powerful message for the case study. And case studies always make a massive impact. And I appreciate some people who have gone through a difficult journey probably don't want to come in front of the limelight and discuss that. But if some people will do, and they are grateful or whatever you, and it also what you are doing is a thankless task, because there are people out in the community who constantly say that the local authority is not doing this, the local authority has a responsibility, has a duty. And what you have been explaining for the last hour is, here's a project, take advantage of it. And hopefully, if there are more service users, then the local authority will implement a succession planning to keep its legacy going. So once again, I really appreciate your time, and thank you very, very much for coming in to our studio this evening. And inshallah, we'll keep in touch again. Viewers and listeners, as I'm coming up to the hour now, and would like to thank you all for listening into my programs. As always, we have a lovely discussion with our lovely guests. We try and bring you project information of individual products. Tonight's program was covered the Pure project for Birmingham City Council, and you've heard it here first. So hopefully over the next few weeks and months there'll be leaflets and marketing campaign, and there you are. We try to give you the best information as quickly as possible and as fresh as possible. And before I sign off this evening, I'm just going to remind everybody that there's a Phoenix Youth Club opening in the George Grenfell Memorial Hall in Bankdale Road in Ward End this Saturday, the 19th of February at 11 o'clock. The postcode for Bankdale Road is BH2AA. This is volunteer-run program, and plenty of residents have come together to support the community. Businesses have volunteered, businesses have donated funds, food, and it's available for the children, the youth of the area to take advantage of it. And Radio Aapki Awaaz is promoting this because, again, it's a fantastic initiative in the local community, run by residents, for the residents and for our children. So if you'd like to know more, contact us on 07944 808 141, and inshallah we'll see you there on Saturday. Once again, thank you very much. As always, until next week, Khuda Hafiz, and take care. Khuda Hafiz.